chose out this new pajama top. And one night I was wearing it and I turned off the light and I noticed that something was glowing, and I looked down and sure enough, it was my top. I hadn't realized, but the scorpion was actually glow in the dark. So I found this really cool, and I was thinking about glow in the dark a lot, which then led me to something arguably way cooler, bioluminescence. What is bioluminescence? 2, how does it work? And 3, what is it for? Bio comes from the Greek word bios, meaning life, and luminescence from lumen, which stems from Latin, meaning light. So when you put those two together, it refers to life forms that can produce their own light. Bioluminescence is the emission of light by an organism as a result of a biochemical reaction. In contrast to my shirt and other fluorescent objects, bioluminescence does not require the initial absorption of sunlight or electromagnetic radiation to emit light itself. Light is produced through the oxygenation of a substrate and an enzyme, and in this biochemical reaction, light is emitted. Bioluminescent light is emitted in wavelengths between 400 and 720 nanometers. This basically means that it's everywhere from violet to almost infrared. The majority of bioluminescent marine organisms emit blue light. This changes depending on the depth of the organisms as well. Organisms closer to the surface will opt for more of a green color. Depending on the depth in the ocean, the light will change because the light of the ocean changes, and so they're more adapted to the depth and the light intensities in those areas so that this luminescence is more visible. So as I've touched on, there's lots of different bioluminescent life forms. A lot of them are marine animals, but there's also bugs and insects. Think about fireflies, for example. And actually not too far from home, in California, high in the mountains, there are bioluminescent millipedes. And these millipedes are really cool. Obviously, they glow in the dark. And scientists have been wondering what the point is. So, for those of you who don't know, millipedes are actually toxic. They contain cyanide. So, many millipedes will have bright colors on their backs as warning signs for predators. You know, don't eat me, you don't want to. But these nocturnal millipedes, obviously having bright colors is not going to serve any purpose if in the night they can't be seen. So instead, they have bioluminescence, which means that they will actually glow in the dark, and this could be a warning sign for predators. Some scientists conducted a study that found out that predators were more likely to attack bugs that did not glow than these millipedes that did. So a possible explanation for bioluminescence in this species is protection against predators. Each species is different, and the use of the bioluminescence is individual as well. We don't know exactly the purpose of bioluminescence in a lot of species, but suggested functions include escape mechanisms by dazzling predators. A predator will try and attack, and then they'll flash, startling the predator and distracting them enough so that they're able to make their getaway. There's also warning coloration, like I mentioned with the millipedes. There's also prey luring and courtship. One of the most studied bioluminescent species is the firefly. So fireflies are known to use bioluminescence for mating. So their flashing tails are used to attract the opposite sex and find potential mates. Something that's interesting is that each species will have its own distinct flashing. Timing and strength of the light will decide if the female accepts the male as the mate. In this way, bioluminescence is used for mating and finding potential partners, but fireflies can also use their flashing for predation. As I mentioned, there's actually lots of different species of firefly. They're not all the same as I had originally thought. Some females will mimic the flashing patterns of other species, hence attracting males from other species, and they will actually attack them once they get close enough and eat them. Another species that I'm going to look at is the flashlight fish. So these fish are actually really cool, and I watched a documentary by David Attenborough that showed them, and basically underneath their eyes they have these areas that bioluminesce, and they're called flashlight fish because essentially these bioluminescent areas of their under eye will light up the seafloor because it's near total darkness where they are deep underwater, and it will light it up so that they're able to scour the seafloor for food and feed themselves. But this photo that I showed you is actually taken with a really highly resolute camera that also uses infrared light. So we're actually able to see the fish as well as the bioluminescent part of the fish. But another image is what these fish look like to predators. Predators, they look like a confusion of lights that make it hard to zone in on a specific target, hence safety in numbers. All of these flashing lights, because they're constantly blinking, is actually really disorientating to predators and can prevent them from attacking their prey. It allows them to search for food by illuminating the sea floor, but also distracting their predators and disorientating them so that they are not eaten. Another species I want to talk about is dinoflagellates. These dinoflagellates are present in oceans, and these are the well-known ocean glow. So I don't know if you've seen really cool photos on Instagram, but there are oceans or areas of oceans where movement will cause the water to glow. This is the most widespread bioluminescent life in the planet. When these dinoflagellates are disturbed, they produce lights. In other species, bioluminescence is a little bit more obvious. So in fireflies, it's obvious that the bioluminescence is for mating and also for predation. But this is a little bit more unclear why the bacteria will glow when disturbed. There's a theory that it's used as a burglar alarm. So similarly to how a burglar alarm will alert the police to a thief, it's theoried that when small sea creatures are trying to eat these dinoflagellates, the dinoflagellates will bioluminesce, highlighting their predator, thus making these small fish and scuttlefish easy targets for the larger fish, which will then in turn eat them. So basically, the dinoflagellates illuminate their attackers so that their attackers are attacked and thus they're safe. This is just a theory, but it would explain why we have these ocean glows. I wish I could provide more information, but really we are only just starting to understand the depth of bioluminescence, its importance, its uses, and theory is that bioluminescence is just a byproduct of a chemical reaction that's an important metabolic function, and that there really is no specific purpose, although the fact that the repeated evolution of bioluminescence in many different species over many different years suggests that bioluminescence does actually play a key role in providing an advantage over other species to those who have bioluminescence. And there's many species where bioluminescence has really come in handy. So we have the flashlight fish, we have the fireflies, We have these dinoflagellates. So many different species actually use bioluminescence, and it has proved to work in their advantage. Although, definitely for some species, it's unclear as to exactly why they glow, and whether it is really just a mere byproduct or if there is an actual advantage.